Can nature journaling save this doomed tree?
Today could very well be the last day that I paint this tree, and maybe the last day that anybody paints this tree. And if I come back here in a couple months and this tree is cut down, I'm definitely going to cry. Deciding where to start nature journaling is always hard, but in this situation where I know that this tree could get cut down sometime in the next weeks or the next months, it makes it especially hard.
So where this yellow tape is where they plan to start digging. And on either side of the tape. And I really don't want to see it maimed like that.
I bike through here,
Yeah.
you know, and anytime I ride my bike, I take a second here and pause, and I remember my best, my good friend.
Man, he would be pissed if they cut this tree
He
down.
would be pissed. Oh, and he could get ornery. But he never got out of control. He would be pissed, and his family would be pissed.
Yeah.
His family should know about this.
Well, I just spent the last 20 minutes talking to some people that walked up and had some opinions about the tree, which was really cool. None of them wanted to actually be on video. Tecolote Canyon Nature Center in San Diego. We're gonna go paint this sycamore tree, and it's one of several trees in a whole area that's going to get taken out to put in a pipeline. So I'm just trying to do some paintings of it and nature journal it. What I want to know is if nature journaling or art in general can have an impact in these kind of situations. We talk a lot about how nature journaling is good for conservation. I don't want to just take that for granted and assume that that is true because I want to believe it. But if you think about it, we're losing so much of our natural places on the planet and replacing them with sidewalks, and every single tree contributes. If you actually stop to think about what a tree contributes to the environment and then compare that like to yourself, but come on, trees, they're basically benefiting everybody at no cost. Let's keep as many of them as possible. I think growing up in San Diego, there were a lot of things that I didn't appreciate. Look at this elderberry right here. I'm pretty sure that's an elderberry. That is a fat elderberry, and I can't tell if it's just not healthy or if it's just the time of year, but it doesn't look great. But that is a huge elderberry, and it looks like if there's a tree that you like and you notice something like this pop up next to your favorite tree, that is I'll just give you a hint, that is a bad sign. When you start seeing orange, pink spray paint, pink sprink tape around your favorite nature area, that is a bad sign. You need to find out what is happening. All right, you can see the sycamore tree right there. Pretty open canopy, spread out into multiple stems. And a lot of trees do that, and sometimes it makes it hard to tell how old the actual tree is because there could be a center part that rotted and new ones took over, new growth, new sprouts took over, and it's hard to tell. So like with the redwood trees, you can have an ancient tree, and what you're seeing are the resprouts off of it. So check this thing out. What an amazing tree, right? Look at the big space underneath it. And if you're not from Southern California, you might not appreciate this, but in the wild places, unless you're in the mountains or in certain areas, it's mostly not forest. So trees are rare having a big tree like this and all the shade it provides, all the habitat it provides for other animals. There's a lot of bushes. See all of these bushes, and there are some live oaks and stuff up there, but in these sort of riparian areas, this is probably a sort of floodplain or deposit area from something that was a floodplain, from a creek. I think there's a creek that has been channelized here through cement. But look at how important of a role a tree like this would play in that ecosystem. It creates a really interesting niche for Southern California that's different from the chaparral. Look at this thing. I mean, it's majestic. People have probably been hanging out under here for a really, really long time. How much value has a tree like this provided to San Diego over its lifespan? That's something that I was thinking about the other day as I wrote an imaginary obituary for this tree. Just think, what other San Diego citizen during their lifespan commits as much to place and does as much to help the community and help other people in a generous way and support San Diego overall? I mean, how many people can compare even close to something like that that's been doing that for 200 years? Think of all the beauty it's provided. Think of how many people have come rested here, how many people have carved their names into the trunk, and the tree just sitting there, accepting it, giving it back, fixing carbon from the atmosphere, making oxygen for you to breathe, making shade, fixing all this carbon and using it to improve the soil, feeding all kinds of animals and birds and stuff like that. You know, what more can you say? My main goal today is just to do a gouache painting and do a little bit of iNaturalist survey. So from this perspective, check this out. I think that's the direction. Don't have to deal with the foreshortening. Can get this super long branch, get some of the shadows, the colors, and I'm gonna try to paint it with gouache to at least commemorate this tree. If this tree goes down, at least there will be a little gouache painting of it. So I already got distracted here and was hearing a lot of birds and decided I was going to use the Merlin app to identify some of the sounds. But what I also did is I edited the name of the recording and called it Birds Under Sycamore Tree. I'll write Tecolote Canyon in there, but it should have a location already. And just that way, just think about it. There's an audio recording to go along with what it was like underneath this tree. Oh, what? I am so glad that I have my binoculars right now, because I just saw a bird that I don't know. Let me see, I'll make some guesses. So I'll just go on here on Merlin for likely birds and just go through. It had this mask that looked like some type of interesting warbler, or it could be some migratory bird. Look, it's not coming up anywhere in the top. It wasn't an oriole, wrong behavior, but it did have a black mask on a yellow face. Here we go. Maybe it was the McGillivrays. Shouldn't. No, it has a darker mask than that. Dang. There we go. Common yellow throat. Boom. Cool. I'll add that to my list. Alright, I could totally ruin this painting right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and try to put a little bit of blue in for the sky. Actually, you know what? I think this is fine. The only thing that is not quite right is I wish the bark were a little bit paler. I always think of these as being really pale trees, but I guess the way the light is right now, it actually is pretty backlit. Today could very well be the last day that I paint this tree, and maybe the last day that anybody paints this tree. And if I come back here in a couple months and this tree is cut down, I'm definitely going to cry, and I'm definitely going to do a nature journal page showing what it looks like. But if I come back here in a couple months and the tree is still standing, it's shed all its leaves for winter, those Southern California rains have the bark all glistening and wet, and there's all kinds of cool stuff happening underneath it. Maybe there'll be salamanders and stuff like that. If I come back and that's the case, I will definitely nature journal it, and I'll probably still cry. And the truth of the matter is, Tecolote Park is here because regular people like you, regular San Diego citizens, made this park possible and have kept it what it is until today. And so it's going to be the same thing with this tree. If this tree does get saved, it's going to just be regular people, regular citizens that made it happen.